Hey, this is Kevin from Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. If you want more information like you're about ready to see, go ahead and hit like and subscribe to support this independent podcast.
Mike Evans, who finished wide receiver 16 last year, 77 receptions, 127 targets, 1,124 yards, 6 touchdowns, an average of 8.5 targets per game. Thoughts on Mike Evans?
This might be the season where we see Mike Evans fail to reach 1,000 yards. And not because of his doing necessarily, but it's going to be hell, whether it's Trask or Mayfield. And I know we're going to talk about those guys here coming up when we do the quarterbacks, but I do think it's going to be a problem for either one of those to get him enough volume and find him consistently to get to 1,000 yards. I wouldn't be surprised to see him hit, 850 to 900 yards and maybe something like 4 touchdowns. Like, I think we're going to see a big drop off from Mike Evans this year.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Evans just because, you went from having Tom Brady, and realistically, guys, even with Tom Brady, like, his numbers weren't all that, insane. His best year statistically was 2016 with his 96 catches on 175 targets. And let's see, who was the quarterback that year in 2016 there for Tampa Bay?
Jameis.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you went from the gunslinger that was Jameis Winston to the greatest quarterback of all time there with Tom Brady coming back. And I am comfortable in saying that, actually. But this is going to be, I think, a difficult year for Mike Evans. An impressive streak, as you mentioned, Kevin. Every year he's been in the league, he's had over 1,000 yards receiving. He's had very impressive touchdown numbers, a bit of a fall off last year in terms of the touchdown department. Still had 6, like nothing to, scoff at by any means. But I do think that because of the change at quarterback, it is going to be a difficult time for Mike Evans.
When the pie gets smaller, everybody's piece of that pie is going to get smaller as well, even if they maintain the same target share type of thing. Like, it's just that is the nature of the beast here on that. And Tampa Bay has had the most pass attempts, the last 2 years, and it hasn't been really that close. So if you bring them back to middle of the pack, and now they go from 751 attempts to, like the Broncos last year were 17th with 571, right? Like, you bring them kind of right back into that middle of the pack type of deal. Everybody's piece of the pie gets smaller. So Mike Evans probably somewhere between about I would say probably somewhere between about 100, maybe 115 total targets. Yeah, everything's going to get a little bit more squash there. So can you find value with Mike Evans where he's coming off the board? Yes, because he can probably still get up in there into low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 category, and he's coming off the board at a point where you can at least get some decent value on that one. But it's not going to be like what you've seen in the past on this one. So it's a proceed with caution for me on this one.